let's talk about the deadlift exercise. This is a really great way to work on things like glute strength, hamstring strength, even working on some flexibility and strength in the hamstring. So for my dancers out there, this is a great way to help get your leg up higher and have control over it while increasing your flexibility. What we're going to do first is talk about the form. One important element of this exercise is the hip hinge, making sure that we're bending at the hips and not creating a lot of movement through the spine. A way to work on that is the stick bow exercise. You'll find a link to this in the description of the YouTube video, but to give you a quick refresher, we're going to take a stick, just a simple dowel. I'm going to be standing with it behind my head, behind my low back, and making sure that it's touching my upper back and around my sacrum. My hands are here just to make sure that the bar stays in place. Keeping my core engaged, I'm going to bend at my hips, letting myself go forward, trying not to let that stick come away from my sacrum in particular. Go as far as is comfortable. You can bend your knees a bit if that helps and makes things more comfortable for you, and then coming back up. Now, particularly as I come back up, I want to make sure that I'm engaging my glute muscles at the back of my hip to help pull my body back upright. I should really be feeling that most of the work that's happening is happening in the back of my hip and maybe into my hamstring a little bit. It should not feel like it's creating any tension or pain in my low back. Once you get used to this idea of the hip hinge and not getting a ton of movement through your back, we're going to move into the actual deadlift exercise. We're going to work through some progressions and show you different ways that you can add resistance to this as well. First of all, for the deadlift, I'm going to start with the stick again, a nice way to just practice the movement. I'm going to be standing with my hips or my feet about hip width apart. The stick is going to be in front of me, almost like I'm holding a big barbell. And I'm going to do that same exact hip hinge, letting my torso go forward, feeling like the bar is traveling straight down towards the ground. So to show you this from the side, again, I can let my knees bend a little bit if I want to, but the bar is going straight down as far as is comfortable, mostly keeping the straight back and pulling with those glutes to help pull me back upright. Making sure that when I come back up, I'm getting completely straight. I'm not stopping myself short at all. So I almost think of kind of driving forward towards that stick. So this is what the deadlift motion looks like. As that motion becomes easier, we can add some different forms of resistance in here. If you're at a gym or have access to it, using an actual barbell is a fantastic option. Usually barbells themselves, the stick portion, the bar, weighs around 45 pounds for the standard ones, and then you can add additional plates if you want extra weight. You could also add something like a cuff weight on here if you have an ankle weight. But let's talk about some other options that you may have around. Dumbbells are a really great way to add some resistance. Using whatever amount of weight feels comfortable, having one on each side, still holding them like it's that bar or the stick that we were using, hinging forward from the hip. So it's going to look exactly the same. And I feel like this helps me think about my direction a little bit better than just having the stick, because that weight helps make sure that we're staying straight down towards the floor throughout that motion. Another option that I love to use is a kettlebell. So for this, using whatever weight is comfortable, but this time that weight is going to stay centered in front of you and just let everything travel with it as you go forward. The last version is a really easy one, especially if you want to be able to do these exercises, but maybe don't have much equipment available, or maybe you're traveling and can't travel with actual weights. Using a resistance band. I personally really like using these TheraBand CLX bands because it has loops along the entire length, and you can use this for a lot of different exercises. What I'm going to do is I want to start with some decent tension on the band. I'm going to be standing over the center of it, whatever width you need to feel comfortable. You can have these by your side, or I personally like to cross it, and then exactly the same as what we were doing with any of our other resistance types. You're just going to let yourself go forward, hinging at the hip, and pull back up. So with this, I kind of rotate my thumbs forward instead of keeping my palms towards myself. But it's another nice way to add some resistance to this same exact exercise.